Scores rise like morning sun, chasing points, the game's begun. Big decisions week by week, fantasy glory's what we seek. Pick your squad, the clock won't wait. Captain choice will seal your fate. Two enthusiasts breaking it down. Fantasy kings, we're taking the crown.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tinker Time, an FPL pod, the show for every fantasy Premier League manager who's already second-guessing their first draft. It's Monday, September 1st, 2025, and whether you're wildcarding after Week 3 or just here to scout some differentials, you've come to the right place. I'm Matt, alongside Jim, and we're here to help you tweak, test, and yes, tinker your way to the top of your mini-leagues. We'll break down the best value picks, fixture trends, and hidden gems, so you don't have to stare at your squad screen in despair. So let's pop the hood, crack open the spreadsheet, and get tinkering. Jimbo Slice, what's going on?
I'm happier with my squad after the game week 3. This is the best I've felt wrapping up a week since we started. And I don't think it's any surprise that that's after I pulled the wild card. But here nor there. My best week yet. How you doing?
It feels like I get a scant hint of just like rubbing salt in the wound. It just feels like a backhanded, like, oh, I feel great, but that's partially because you probably feel awful. It's like, am I reading that right?
I don't even know what you just said.
Well, I had another awful game week. Things are not going great over here for Saudi, not Saudi. I'm trying to keep spirits high. I will say that I don't really have the point total to back it up. However, I will say that if FPL was scored on instincts, I think my instincts are great.
Tough to put a value on that.
Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Almost impossible.
It's almost meaningless.
Pretty much definitely meaningless.
Yeah.
But, when I look at the table today in a few of our leagues, the table position is not really what I want. I seem to be in not even the bottom half, like not even the bottom third, not even the bottom quarter. Like, take the smallest nth of the bottom of my league that I'm in, and I'm in the bottom of that. But the point spread between where I am and, let's say, the top, 5 in our league, it's only about a 40-point difference, which at this point in the season, it's extremely
just
doable.
say you had
to make
back-to-back
up.
36-point weeks, and you're
I had
trying
back-to-back 36-point weeks. West Ham really, really screwed me. I'm going to say it. I had West Ham dead and buried. You convinced me that West Ham were just really bad.
Yeah, they are.
They are, but Lucas Paqueta just decided, I'm gonna ignore that 47 million bid from Villa, and I'm gonna net one in, and I don't know what happened, but it all happened so fast. Yeah, to go from basically 2 clean sheets with Sells and Ina to no clean sheet points really hurt my overall game week score. But
You're saying the 8 points is really what did you in?
well, I mean, when yeah, I guess when you say it out loud, it's not as big of a difference. But I think they were on bonus points too. So yeah, I mean, listen, we're gonna get into our squads, but I'm happy for you. I really am. I want you to do well. I root for the little guy,
And to put it in context, we're both behind Tinker Time FPL, the AI squad.
Yeah, he's a shapeshifter. He is a magi. I don't know what we're gonna do to get past him.
I did beat him this week, but
You did.
still a few points behind
Honestly,
on the table.
I feel like our only hope, I mean, technically the AI told him to captain Holland, and he didn't even have Holland in his squad. So if he had captain Holland, he actually probably would have done better because Holland actually did return. So
Yeah.
even when he loses, he wins. But listen,
This is not all about you, as
It's
much
not
as
all
you
about-
want it to be.
Game week 3 was exciting. It had definitely some exclamation points, it had some question marks, had some things that are still making you scratch your head. Let us be the first forum to congratulate the 2025-2026 Premier League champions, Liverpool. The title's over.
You giving it to
I
him?
think I'm giving it to them. I think it's over. I think we even gave it to them a couple weeks ago, but I mean,
You
this
gave
is
it to
it.
you gave it to Arsenal last week after they beat up on Leeds.
Did I really give it to Arsenal? I think that was sarcastic. I can't remember. Most of the time, I'm pretty sarcastic, but I mean, it's over. And I'm not even going to mention their third record-breaking transfer of the
Yeah,
transfer window.
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable, but still very believable. That's the worst part. And we're not even also going to mention their other center back transfer. That all kind of fell apart in the last hour or so, in the final hour. But, just like the rich got richer, and we'll talk about it. Congrats to Liverpool. Really excited for them. That being said, the transfer window is officially closed. So
That's
we
right.
will take, not in this episode because we want to focus on the recap, but another episode coming up. We're going to spend an entire episode recapping the summer transfer window, team by team. Just to help everyone understand, there's a lot of deals that happen up until the last hour, up until the last minute in some cases. We want to make sure that you're informed that Manor Solomon is out of Spurs and into Villarreal, right? That's something that you might be interested in. Or maybe you don't give a crap. I don't know. If you have Manor Solomon in your team, well, I am in no position to speak. My teams are awful this year. So stay tuned
The
for that.
the other big takeaway from this week are still
Oh,
still screwing us. Like, not just in FPL, but honestly, some big impacts of the league itself. A lot of
huge.
questionable calls. The Josh King goal that got ruled out. Bruno getting the 97th min pen. I saw another, I forget which game it was, but basically there was somebody from the PGMOL that was like taking notes on the ref, and somebody in the stands took a picture of their notes. And it's basically like, what the hell is this guy calling out here? So even within the referee community, nobody's in agreement, and
I
VAR is
just
not helping.
I don't understand why, like, it's 2025. We have robots that can do anything. We have cars that can drive themselves. Why can we not get pinpoint like trackers on players' bodies, or like we used to have technology, not used to. Like tennis had the technology for shot spot years ago, over a decade ago. And that was incredible. And like I just don't get why VAR can't just figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not a money thing. FIFA's got the money to figure it out.
Well, I feel like the offsides has gotten better and faster. It's all these other questionable calls that I don't know. To me, it's not the
I
offsides that's killing us. It's the
Yeah,
penalties. It's the
that's fair.
was it a yellow? Was it a straight red? Those are the kinds of things that I don't know. But still, with managers unable to challenge calls on their own, it just seems very one-sided. And what are you gonna do? There's nothing to do.
I
But
propose that in addition to VAR, because it feels like we do have a lot of situations where we try to judge a player's intent, instead of leaving it up to VAR and leaving it up to a third or fourth official or someone who's in a video booth somewhere, why don't we just ask the player? Why don't we just go up to them and say, hey, did you mean to hit that ball with your elbow outside of the width of your body? Did you mean
that's a
to do
really good
that?
point.
And if they say yes, handball. Or
It's a
we
gentleman's
reward them
game.
for being honest and we say no penalty. I feel like that would instill great values in youth, because what we're trying to do here is really inspire the youths,
Yeah.
right?
We could give a green card, and that way they have an extra tackle that they could do that's clearly a foul.
We're definitely not a political cast, but I want to say there was some
Yeah,
sort of,
maybe that was a poor choice of words.
yeah, I feel like green card was not.
The
Don't
PGML,
cut that.
the PGML does not want to get into giving out green cards.
Yeah, no. As long as they're not giving out visas. But listen, like you said, VAR was awful. But another thing that we still don't really know how to make it work, or what to make of it. Man City and Aston Villa. City seemed to be in control until they weren't.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of City at this point.
Has Pep lost it? I mean, is he just too old? Is he the new Bill Belichick who's playing right now and losing to TCU?
Ooh,
Come on,
the
Bill.
frogs, right? Horned frogs. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. And then there's Villa, right? Like everyone touted Villa. assets to begin the season, still do. I mean, do you want to
Not
be that
everyone.
manager?
Not
Well,
everyone.
it was very hard to bet against Ollie Watkins, I think, to begin the season with that fixture run.
They did have a great run.
Villa have not, I don't even want to say they've looked bad. They just haven't broken through. And there's something about, okay, if you have one bad game or
What
maybe you play down against
what do
an
you mean they have
opponent.
how are you gonna say they haven't looked bad? 0-0 to Newcastle, terrible game.
Well,
0-1 to
Newcastle,
0-1 to 0-1 to Brentford, who we assumed was gonna go back down or really fall off after losing a bunch of players, and then they lost 3-0 to
well,
Palace.
so but that's kind of my point is like that first game, 0-0. Could I'm not saying that I expected 0-0, but Newcastle shouldn't have been a pushover, right? They're a Champions League caliber squad, right? Those are two teams that, in theory, should match up pretty well and could kind of push each other. That 1-0 loss to Brentford, that is unacceptable for a team that, like Villa, that has the aspirations that they have, the ambitions that they have, the goals that they have. Then they get into a position, I feel like, it's almost it's like baseball, right? When you start to get into a slump and now you're, 0 for 10, 0 for 20, you start pressing a little bit, right? You start like trying to make things happen rather than, kind of letting the game come to you. I almost kind of feel like Villa's in that position now where, they're kind of pressing, right? Like they're trying to make something happen. They're trying to force a result in a game and they're not really playing fluidly. They're not really necessarily playing the type of football that they need to in order to get the result that they expect. Now I know it's early, right? We're only 3 game weeks in, very small sample, but I'm a little worried about Villa.
I'm not worried because I didn't have them. I didn't have the faith in them after the summer window. I think I agree. They're probably playing under what they're capable of, but with that, I'm kind of expecting them to be middle of the pack once they do hit their stride. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of Villa,
Who has hit their stride though? Mark Gahey, 15 points this week, leaderboard. 1 goal, 1 clean sheet, 9 def con, so didn't get the extra 2 points, but he did get the 3 bonus on his own. And well, this is news to me. He's not moving to Liverpool?
no,
Last time I saw it,
Glasner.
that was going through.
Yeah, so Oliver Glasner actually threatened to leave the club
Who's
if
Oliver Glasner? The owner?
no, the manager, right? Isn't that his name?
I don't know. To be
Let's
honest, that's
let's
one
double
I
check
always
that.
assume Roy Hodgson is either there or in the wings waiting to come
Yeah,
back after
no,
they fire the
Oliver
new manager.
Glasner. I had that. I thought I knew that, and then you made me question it. Uh, yeah, Oliver Glasner. He threatened to leave the club. Reports. I mean, we obviously weren't there in the negotiations, but I thought he was also on record saying that hey, we would be willing to let him go if we had a replacement brought in. They had Igor, I believe, on loan, or at least it was at least a loan. There might have been an obligation to buy. I'm not positive of the terms. With Igor from Brighton, I believe, and that I thought was a done deal. And I don't know. I'm sure more details of the transfer or the or the transfer that did not happen, they'll come out over the next couple of days. Um, but yeah, I mean, just a player that was under a lot of attention, a lot of media over the last couple of days with this transfer rumor. Mark Gahey went out at an absolute gem of a defensive performance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he knocked in an absolute worldie from
it was
outside the
really
box.
nice. It was really. But how bad do you feel for him? Right? He thought he was moving. He had the game of his life, and then to be blocked at the last hour, that's awful.
So, I mean, the question of do I feel bad for him? I think I'm on record. I don't feel bad for any of these professional athletes ever. To be very honest, I
Ever?
actually have a little bit. I have no. I don't feel bad for them. Like, did you see? And I don't want to talk about him because, like, all right, we're gonna talk about him. Alexander Isak, right? Xander boy. He
Alexander.
whined. He whined like a little bitch boy, like a little Sean Burden bitch boy, to try to get out of Newcastle. Said there was a gentleman's agreement. He was going to Liverpool, whatever, right? He said, doesn't matter. Did you see Newcastle's announcement of the transfer when it was all said and done?
I did not.
Newcastle put out a press statement basically that said, We have completed the transfer of Alexander Isak, Swedish international who featured for 109 games for Newcastle. And that was like for a record British transfer fee. That was the entirety of the message.
I'm
right?
seeing it right here. Yeah.
Can you read it just so I probably botched it.
Newcastle United can announce the sale of striker Alexander Isak to Liverpool for a significant British record transfer fee.
That's it. No, thank you for your time.
There is
Thank
a
you for
link
your...
to an article. Did you read the article or did you just...
No, because they could have put it right there if they wanted to.
Okay, you
All
know what?
right.
You know what? You're right. The article, the remainder of the article, the Sweden international joined the Magpies from Real Sociedad
Thank you.
in 2022 and made 109 appearances in all competitions. That was
Yeah.
the whole article.
That's the whole article. And
Didn't mention his goals.
to be very honest, I am 100% on Newcastle's side. Okay, these players, they get paid a lot of money to play a game, and they come in, they make these demands.
Let me turn it around. You're Alexander Isak. You would be throwing the biggest hissy fit to get out of there and get as much money as you could.
But it's
You can't
to
even
me,
say that you would not do that.
it's not about... I think there's a difference between wanting to get top dollar and conducting yourself in a professional way. I think there's an area. I think there's a common ground.
No, he did it
No,
classy.
that-
He just didn't go to work. You would do the same thing.
He went to social media. He said, "I'm being silenced." I
Let
personally...
me put it in comparison. Did you see his statement versus what Visa put out?
Oh, don't even get me started with him.
That I read 2 or 3 paragraphs, and then I said, "This is a bit much." And then I looked. There was probably 2,000 more words. So he did it very...
He's where I was going next, to be very honest with you. Like,
Okay, but
these
in
players...
comparison, you can't say Isak made a big stink. He did what he wanted to and needed to, I would think, and I can't blame him for it.
I get it. Listen, I'm not saying... Let me also be clear. Do I think that there was probably some sort of, hey, we will listen to some offers in the summer of 25 that, was maybe he was kind of being told that on the side, or maybe he was being told that directly from? Sure. But, I mean, what incentive would Newcastle have to sell him? They don't need the money.
The incentive is that they don't sell him on the last day of the window and then have zero leverage to bring in somebody else or multiple people. It's like if they sold him week 1 of the offseason, they had the whole summer to then know he's not going to be there, and they could build around whoever else they are targeting. They're screwing themselves by waiting until today, because with that transfer, all they brought in was Visa, who, yeah, he scored Premier League goals, but he's nowhere near as good as Isak.
They
And
brought in some
nobody
German
is
guy too. Yeah.
is at the moment, but that's where you need to then figure out who else you could bring in to build the
whole
squad you
thing
want.
just, to me, is it's just so messy. Like, it's one thing if he has an expiring contract and they say, hey, we're never going to be able to re-sign this player. He doesn't want to play here. Let's go trade him, or let's go get some money for him while we can, because that's what's best for the club. But this was a guy who was on contract. I don't believe he was out of contract. I don't know.
Well, he's gone.
He's gone at the end of the day. And this is another one. Listen, man, you're 29 years old. Like, you just broke through in the Premier League last season. Like, give me a break. You're not that good. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to go to social media and complain like that. Like, granted, I don't know why Newcastle spent $55 million on a player who I believe actually is on an expire. I don't know all the details of it, but
He did more
he's
than
going to
that,
be
wasn't
gone.
he?
I think it was $55 million, and he's going to be gone for AFCON. So it's like you're spending that much money on a 29-year-old striker, and he's going to be gone for 5 weeks. I don't even know the length or whatever it is, but like, they really must be high on this German kid, Voltemard or whatever. And I'll learn his name by the time the next episode drops, or I'll try to learn it. I probably won't actually learn it. I'll just learn how to say it the wrong way. But it just... I have a problem with professional athletes, even like the NFL. Micah Parsons, commanding, it's about respect. Is it really? Like, you're under contract. Like, I don't understand why players
Well,
feel that they're not obligated to fulfill the terms of their contract. I get that they wanna get paid, their body and their time is their whole leverage. I get it, and they have a limited time to make their money, but I don't not every player needs to do that. Not every player is, Mo Salah or Erling Haaland or Messi or Ronaldo. Like those like world-class players can
right, but
demand it.
okay, but it doesn't happen that often, right? It happened with Isak. He's the best striker in the world currently. It happened with Visa because he knew he was going to be Isak's replacement, right? Apart from that, who has held out? Harry
I just
held
don't
out.
want I don't friend.
Well, Harry held out a few years ago for preseason, but he was one of the best
I
strikers in the world at the
I
time.
feel like Harry carried himself like a gentleman and a professional.
Well, yeah, because he gave up and went back.
You mean he was under contract and he's yeah, okay. Listen, we'll talk more about it. But yeah, anyway, back to the original intent. Mark Guehi, awesome game week. And that is the third week in a row a defender is the top scoring player of FPL for that week.
Yeah.
Maybe we're sleeping on defenders. I don't know. We all talk midfielders,
He's a little
but
more owned than Ballard and Timber were, though.
I think so. I'm at 4.5 mil. Yeah, I mean he was very affordable. If he had gone to Liverpool and Kanate was injured, he would have been. I think his ownership would have skyrocketed.
Hmm.
So we can talk about what would have been or could have been a little bit later. But let's talk flops, right? So I mean, no surprise there. I think for me, Ollie Watkins is probably number one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You're not high on Villa, so you don't really see
I'm
him as
not
a
high on
flop.
Dilla, no. But I guess given the matchup, yeah, you were more hopeful. That being said, Palace was, we knew going in, Palace has been tough this year. I I don't know if he was a flop because I don't know how high expectations were. I think if you want to say the first 3 weeks of the season, he's been a flop, absolutely.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're thinking about like captaincy, he wasn't really on our captaincy radar this week because
That's
to
what
your point,
that's what I think of a flop is.
okay,
Like
okay. So if
solid.
you're thinking just from captaincy, then yes, I would say Salah. So Salah was one of those players that I think, frankly, a lot of players I don't want to say we're forced to captain, but it's one of those things where if you've got a 14.5 mil player in your squad and he is your main premium, it's hard to not captain him, even against a team like Arsenal, who I think I saw some stat in I think it was his last 16 games against Arsenal. He has like 12 goals and 4 assists or something like that. Like he usually returns against Arsenal. So we talk about Liverpool kind of being fixture proof, like case in point, but I mentioned it on the last recap episode. Like Salah just really has not found his form, and it may be time to start asking the question, like, is this kind of a passing of the torch, especially with Isak coming in, or is it just kind of slot system, or is it just Salah still, getting into form for the season? I don't know. What do you think?
Think it I think it's too early to tell. I think it's a combination of all of that. I think Isak coming in is obviously going to change things again. I mean, he's been playing with Ekatike, Verts for the first time these first 3 weeks. Yes, he hasn't looked great. He hasn't really had, I think, a lot of the possession. He's still making those kind of late runs and great dribbling on the deep on the right side. But I don't know, it almost seems like he's not moving as much off ball, which is he kind of resting on what he's done in the past. I know you know, people say like Messi doesn't move a lot off ball, but yet still draws all the defenders to him, given what he could do. Maybe Mo's thinking he could do the same thing, but he don't really play in the same position, so I don't know. But I think it's still too early to tell. I would not be moving him out. We knew Arsenal was a tough defense to break down. You kind of you always expect Salah to score at some point. So even if it was a 1-1 game or a 1-0 game like it was, historically, he has been a contributor at some point, so I wouldn't be moving him off at the moment. I think, yeah, it's tough now. We're kind of resetting getting to know each other phase with Isak coming in, but he's still just so talented. And there's so many other players around him that are talented that I don't think it's time to move out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Why don't we get into some of the games and we can table some of the Liverpool talk for when we talk a little bit about the fixture itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we had some good fixtures this week. First fixture of the week, and this one hurt a little bit. First fixture this week was Chelsea Fulham, and I will admit I mentioned on the last episode, I think my exact words were, I don't know why I have Josh King on my team. Wait, actually, I do. I know exactly why, because he fits in my budget. And then he scored the first goal, and I actually felt like, maybe my instincts are right. Maybe this is my week. Maybe it's going to turn around. Maybe I just had a bad first 2 weeks.
No.
Everything is going to kind of level out, and the VAR gods got me.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was 2-0 Chelsea at the end of the day. Lineup wise, so Delop got the start. João Pedro, who had the big week last week, and a lot of people either brought him in or maybe were considering him a captain against Fulham in the early game. He started in Palmer's traditional role, so a little bit deeper. Delop was up top. Unfortunately, Delop got injured 14 minutes in. So he was subbed out, followed by that Josh King goal, the 21st minute. So he scored. VAR reviewed it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was called off for a foul because of when one of the Fulham players was doing a turn, he stepped on the Chelsea player's boot and then continued to play, and that was ruled a foul and not an incidental collision trying to get the ball.
I heard the ref had Sanchez in his fantasy team, and he wanted to get the clean sheet. But your explanation feels more reasonable, but even with reason, it's total bullshit. That is not even what VAR should
Yeah.
be used
Yeah.
for, in my opinion.
Exactly. If you watch it in real time, you wouldn't have thought
No.
anything of it before VAR was involved. Yeah, there was a collision. They kept going. He scored. That should have been it. After that lengthy VAR review, Al Pedro in the 45+9 scores a header assisted by Enzo. That's 2 weeks in a row. Enzo has contributed here. And then after half, it was just kind of a runaway. Enzo scored a penalty, who I believe I called last week, saying
You
that
did.
Pedro is
You
not going
did.
to be on pens. It's going to be Enzo. So he
You
scored
did.
at 56th minute, and then just bunch of subs from Fulham after that. Estabo, who got the start, was subbed in the 68th minute. But other than that, really not much to note. So I think I was incorrect with my Pedro's a bust because he scored and he got the 3 bonus. I don't know how he got that when Enzo got the penalty plus the assist plus a clean sheet. So Pedro got the extra bump with the bonus points there. So I will admit I was incorrect calling him a bust.
It's okay. So, would you call him a boom?
I guess.
Okay.
I
All
I
right.
don't know.
It's okay.
We'll see. Well,
Sometimes
we haven't nailed out the exact definition of what a boom is.
that's true. That's true. That's true. Well, I feel like when we see one, we'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Chelsea kind of dominated this one, other than that initial threat from Josh King. And I'm glad you actually called it a goal because it was a goal.
Yeah.
Chelsea were kind of in command of this one. I don't think they ever really sweat too much. Plenty of possession. All the underlying metrics lean towards Chelsea. This one was
It's a
pretty easy for them.
win. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, what are you gonna do?
Any thoughts or any players that you talked about Enzo, but any reason to bring Enzo in the team this week? Thinking about bringing him in?
He's still 5.5, right?
I think so.
I don't know. I would say no until we learn more about Palmer and when he's gonna be back because Enzo's. Clearly he's second choice for pens. I think that's kind of confirmed based on this. But
That's true.
I wouldn't bring him in. I don't need the money to move up top or in defense at the moment. But good one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I feel like we talked a lot about beginning of the season, Chelsea's squad depth. Interestingly enough, it feels like Chelsea don't have enough strikers, right? With the Delop injury, with the Palmer injury. It feels like Palmer probably will be back after the international break. I don't think he'll be out for
Hope so.
much longer than that. So you would think that Palmer would slot right back in, and then Pedro would kind of slot right back up top. I did see that they recalled Guiu from Sunderland, and there was, I think, a move for Tyrick George to actually move to Fulham, but then that got called off. So, it's just interesting, right? Like how a team like Chelsea can have so much depth, so much so that they are making moves to ship players out to get them minutes, and then all of a sudden, a couple injuries later, and now they're recalling them frantically. And we're not even talking about Nicholas Jackson here. So,
Yeah, so I was a little surprised that they recalled Guyu, but not Jackson. And maybe
well,
it's
they
that Jackson's paycheck's higher, so they wanted Myron to cover that. I don't know. Or maybe they originally panicked and then realized that Palmer would be back soon and they'd be all right as is. I don't know.
feels like they've never really been high on Nicholas Jackson. Like at the end of the day, like I don't know.
Plus, João Pedro, I mean, he is a striker, so that they have plenty of midfielders. So they don't. I guess they just need a backup for him.
It'll be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
but
Essentially, their backup striker got hurt.
right, right. Yeah. So yeah, I think
Not
yeah,
shitting any
2-0
faces.
Chelsea, easy one. João Pedro teetering on essential.
I think based on ownership, he probably is essential at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
All right, moving on. The next game, United 3, Burnley 2. A real roller coaster here. Started out with a 17-minute penalty that was canceled, thanks to VAR. Team Jacob fans will be happy that Josh Cullen scored an own goal for United in the 27th minute, followed by a Cunha injury in the 31st. So I know a lot of people brought him in. I think he had a price rise last week. Surprisingly enough, he was not replaced by Šeško. He was replaced by Josh Xerxes. That really surprised me and kind of worried me as somebody who has been backing United players. So Cunha got injured in 31st. Second half, Mason Mount got injured, and he was replaced again, not Šeško, by Robbie Maino, all the above. And that's when Burnley came alive. They had a goal in the 55th minute by Lyle Foster, assisted by Brun Larsen, followed quickly by a Brian Mbeumo goal, 57th minute, assisted by Diego Dalot. And then Burnley keep fighting back. 66th minute, Jaden Anthony goal. Šeško finally comes on in the 72nd minute. So I don't know. I mean, clearly he was fit. I don't know why he didn't come on for their other forward attackers much earlier. But it's what it is. Bruno got a yellow card in the 76th minute. And then a late penalty in the 9th minute. And he did score this one. He did not sail it over after having his fit with the refs. So United win at 3-2. Bruno and Mbeumo, who I had flagged as my captaincy picks for the week, did score. And I believe got the bonus points as well.
Yeah. And Mbeumo had a phenomenal game. Lots of chances created, lots of activity. I mean, he's lethal on the counterattack. I mean, he was good at Brentford. He has looked electric at United. He's one of those players that just, if you give him free space, we talked about Alenga in our last episode. If you give Mbeumo free space, he is just going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
He's so fast.
And that's been playing with Mason Mount for the first 3 games. Like, imagine what he's going to look like when they start to click. Although the Cunha injury, who knows how long he's going to be out now.
Yeah, so what were the details of that injury?
It was a
Do you know?
hamstring. So that's tough.
Probably
It could
out
be
a
one of
while.
those, it's like a month, or it could be extra cautious given that they just signed him. I don't know.
Yeah, those
So we'll have
soft
to wait and
tissue
see.
injuries, you do not want to rush back from those. They get a little bit of a bump just from the international break. I don't know if he was called up for Brazil duty, but I assume that'll keep him off international duty if he had been called up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this game was fun to watch, I have to say. Burnley, credit to them, right? Like, they kind of have nothing to lose, right? Like they're one of those newly promoted clubs. They're kind of just trying to stay up this season.
Mhm.
And, they were answering United, frankly. At one point, I think they even had United a little bit on their heels. But at the underlying metrics, like United really dominated this. 26 shots compared to 6 in
That's
favor of United.
crazy.
That's crazy. Just possession wise, like almost a 2-to-1. I should say, well, 62% to 38%, so almost a 60-40. But United's an interesting team. If you really think about the roster turnover, right? And funny enough, I think over the weekend, Josie, Ten Hag, and there was one other former United manager who also got sacked this weekend. I'm trying to remember who it was. But all 3 of them got fired this weekend. Who was the other one that they had
For Amarin, you mean?
recently?
I'm blanking
Yes.
on his name as well.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
He was managing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were all in, I don't know, because Josie was he was at Fenerbahce, right?
Yeah.
And then Ten Hag was at Leverkusen. I don't remember where Ole was managing, but it doesn't matter because he's out of a job right now. But there were reports that one of them might actually come back and replace Ruben. But beside the point, just kind of a fun fact. They all got sacked this weekend. But yeah, the roster turnover, we talk a lot about like the system and, Amarim, but at the end of the day, right, like sometimes it's just the players. Like we give Spurs a ton of shit because Levy doesn't bring new players in. Like United needed to bring new players in, and they have done that. Like that front line last season,
Yeah.
Rasmus Højlund, Garnacho, and who did they have on the right side? I don't even remember. But like compare that to this season with Cunha, Isco, and Mbomo. That is a major upgrade. You could make the argument that maybe they're not necessarily flourishing just yet in Amarin's system, and maybe they never will, but we'll see.
I don't know. I
Credit
mean,
to them.
the number of shots they're getting out, eventually you can't get 26 shots consistently and not start to put more than 3 away against Burnley.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I still have hope for them.
yeah. Credit to folks who brought in Bruno. We talked about Bruno as being a captaincy option. He rewarded those managers with a 97th minute penalty. But if I were to pick one player, I think right now, I think I'd go Mbumo.
Yeah.
Just save a little bit of money, and he's looked great.
Yeah. Just one sad note, Dorgo did not Dorgo did not play.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
Hurt.
Which helped me get somebody off the bench, but not great for planning.
Not great.
All right. Next game, Sunderland 2, Brentford 1. So Sunderland lost last week after a big week 1 win. Brentford won after a week 1 loss, and now they flipped again. So Brentford 22nd minute goal ruled off, thanks again to VAR by Jago Unchained. That was really the only thing that happened in the first half. Then they had Kevin Shade miss a penalty in the 59th minute.
It was bad.
Can't be doing that against a newly promoted team.
Can't.
Then Igor Thiago, who I believe you just mentioned earlier with some transfer rumors, he had a yellow card followed by a goal, a header by Onyeka in the 77th minute. And then Robert Fee scored a penalty for Sunderland in the 82nd, followed by a late Wilson Isildur header, assisted by none other than new captain Granit Xhaka in the 96th minute for Sunderland to seal the win.
Stadium of Light was rocking.
Mark Guyu did come on for his first appearance. One and only.
His last. I did see some like supporter post a picture of they bought a kit, like a Mark Guyu jersey, and they were like, "Mark, we never knew you," and I was like, "Well, why are you buying that?
Why would you buy a kit for somebody that's on loan?"
That's stupid. That's just point blank. That's dumb. No, but this was an exciting game too. Like sometimes these games are actually even more exciting because like I don't want to say that they're more evenly matched, but you don't necessarily have like the big names on paper. So you really just have, gutsy performances. You have players that are out there just giving it their all, trying to make a name for themselves, frankly. And it had the drama, right? Like the build up, the goal ruled out from VAR, Thiago scoring in the 77th, Robert E. Lee scoring in the 82nd on a penalty, and then like you mentioned, is Isildur with that late minute heroic in stoppage time. There you go.
Throw it in the
Yeah,
Savannah.
just exciting here. Sunderland have been kind of up and down. It's been hard to have really for both these teams, any sort of FPL asset outside of maybe Watara from Brentford. He did put one in, but it got ruled out. So you can take that for what it is. But Sunderland at this point, Mark Guiu, so interesting kind of FPL tidbit here. So Mark Guiu has been recalled to Chelsea. So if you had already owned 3 Chelsea players and you now own 4 because Mark Guiu is in your squad, you will not be allowed to make another transfer until you remove Mark Guiu from your squad. So you still have to meet that 3 player from a single team requirement. But funny enough, if you already have him in your team, you can technically keep him in your team. You just can't make any more transfers. So that's a whole nother topic that shout out to Jim Aram, who brought it up the other week. He mentioned that with a few Liverpool assets that I bet a lot of folks are kind of stacking their lineups right now before Isak technically moves from Newcastle to Liverpool, just waiting for the game to update. But so just keep that in mind. That don't be surprised when you see that happen.
Yeah, but Guyu's tough because you basically you're going to transfer him out. You're not going to, if you already had 3 Chelsea players, you're going to transfer him out because he's not going to be a starter. Like everybody was banking on him, at least in the mix at Sunderland. So you have to burn a transfer to get him out.
Yeah. And he's already
there's
at a
no
price
other
drop
four and a
too.
halves. Oh, he did have a price drop?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So exactly what I mentioned, right? Like kind of that I mentioned it. I think it was very early on, like why I was looking to avoid him. Because if he wasn't playing, you were going to see managers move on from him very quickly. You saw that mass kind of transfer out. And now you're going to see it even further because, frankly, you're not going to have him as even your 3rd or 4th Chelsea asset if you could.
Right.
So you're going to see more managers move him out.
Right. But if he didn't move, right, he got his first minutes today, or yesterday. So, yeah, he had a price drop. But if he was still at Sunderland, you would assume you could still bank on him playing, and the price drop either wouldn't affect you or his price would come back up. But now it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any specifics or there's any intricacies or nuances around, recalling players, but I mean, maybe there's a chance he could go back in the, winter transfer window. I don't know if
Yeah, I don't know.
you'd be willing to let him go again, but
I can't remember any transfers being recalled prior to January.
yeah, I don't know.
Anyone.
So,
Anyway, nothing else to report on this match. These teams aren't highly owned. Moving on to the most painful game of the weekend, Tottenham 0, Bournemouth 1. Evan Nilsson to the 5th minute goal, assisted by Marcos Senesi. Semenyo got a yellow card in the 12th minute and Van den Ven in the 14th, so those are probably the most highly owned player from each team. Both got a card there. But after that, it was a bad game. I don't think Spurs didn't have a shot on target in the first half. I don't even know if they had a shot in the first half. It was just ugly. Brennan Johnson
no.
got subbed off in the 54th, which is tough given his form. It's like that's so early. I don't know why you're bringing on Odegaard, who is nowhere near as good, but I don't know. I guess we got to trust Frank. I think a lot of people probably we were high on Spurs going into this week, and we're saying it's time to bring him in. And I still think that's the right move given their next 4 or 5 game weeks. So I'm okay with keeping the Spurs assets, even though this one was kind of an ugly loss. But I think in the long run, it's still going to be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, people say, the Prem is head and shoulders, the toughest league in the world. or at least in Europe, because any game week, right? Any team can beat anyone. On paper, I think you look at a big club like Tottenham, who are coming off of a clean sheet against City, where they really like kind of had a handle on that game for most of the game. I don't want to say they dominated because they really, I really wouldn't go that far, but they're really, I don't think they ever really felt a lot of pressure in that game. Um,
Yeah.
and coming into this game, you would think, okay, it's Bournemouth. Yes, they've got some threats in Semenyo and Tavernier, and they can definitely, they've got some threats, but nothing that Tottenham shouldn't have been able to handle. And Andoni Iraola, who just seems to be, quickly making a name for himself throughout Europe as just kind of that expert game planner. Shout out NYCFC. But I mean, yeah, Bournemouth just dominated this. You said it. Spurs in the first half. Let me read you these numbers because they're actually, you would think I was making these up. Spurs had 59% ball possession. Pretty good, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
first half.
Yep.
0 shots. Obviously, no shots on target. No big chances, but no big chances missed. So that's pretty good. 9 fouls committed and no corners. Jim, do you know what that equates to in an expected goal metric?
No shots on target. I don't know. Point 1, 0.5?
No,
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 point 2.
you are giving them too much credit. It's 0. They had an expected goal of 0 because they didn't take a shot. They didn't have anything that was even remotely considered
Yeah, I guess.
an attempt on goal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was dumb on me.
Passing the ball in your own half 136 times does not result in any expected goal. So, yeah, the first half, basically Spurs went out there, and I don't even know why they did. It's very odd. Very odd. Second half was a little bit better, right? Like you mentioned, I think they finally got their first shot on goal. I think it was like the 60th or 70th minute, something like that. They ended up with 5 shots. Better in the second half, but really, like, Bournemouth just dominated this game.
And really,
Credit,
they
credit.
could have had another 1 or 2 in the first half. Tavernier almost had another assist to Evan Nilsson.
Yeah. I'm curious. Vicario really had a phenomenal game. Really kept them in the game. I'm curious how many fantasy points he had. So Vicario,
5
who
saves.
I believe is he 5 mil? He's not 5.5. I think he's 5 mil. I don't
Think
know
so.
if he's gotten any price rise. He might have had a 5. He might be at 5.1. We can check that. But he had 4 diving saves, 13 recoveries. He had 3 fantasy points. So he didn't get the clean sheet, obviously. And I think this is where you see kind of that new point system for saves for keepers come into play, where he still gets that 3 points, where traditionally I think he would only get 2. But because he had so many saves and just was really active back there, he actually was able to get an extra point. So good for Vicario for keeping Spurs in the game. But yeah, this was just a stinker for Spurs. Semenyo was electric out there. He had a 1-touch where, oh my gosh, I mean, he looks great out there. I wish he was on
Yeah.
Spurs. He would look great on the right or left.
But are you in agreement that even with the result, you're not buying or selling any Spurs or Bournemouth assets? I think we kind of knew how good
The
everybody
only
is and not a great game. And
So the only player I think right now that would be on my radar that, and again, like it's hard to look at players who have been returning and assume that they are going to continue to return. But I feel like week after week, I am seeing Marco Senesi constantly in kind of those top performers, team of the week.
Hmm.
I think he's in team of the season right now. I'm almost positive. Another clean sheet this week, another assist. He had 2 shots actually as well. So like if you're getting that kind of production from a center back, he's obviously getting forward. He's getting involved in the attack. That could be a player. And let's see, did he get the defensive contributions too? He had 14. So yeah, he got his defensive
Yeah.
contributions as well. So, he
Nice.
had 14 points this week. I mean, these are big hauls. It's funny. I was actually, so this weekend I was fortunate to be in the company of FPL Black Lab, sharing libations on top of a beautiful scenic overlook, in town, and we were talking about, Bournemouth's back line. Everyone was talking about how their back line was so depleted. They sold so many defenders. Huijsen went over to Madrid, and Zaberny went over to PSG, and Kirkes went over to Liverpool, and I'm forgetting the other one that they lost. But like the point being, those players were no names last season. This was, I'm borrowing from FPL Black Lab. I'm giving him the credit here. Those players, they were good last season, but they became great. There's no reason to think that Iraola can't do the same thing with these players this season.
Could see that.
There's something to be said about a system. There's something to be said about a manager who puts his players in a position to succeed. And Senesi could be that, that player that it was very under the radar going into the season, that if he continues at this rate, his ownership's going to skyrocket. I think right now, what is his ownership right now? 4.5. Oh, well, so he's priced at 4.5. His ownership right now, let's see, my screen is freaking out here. Let's see. Yep, still freaking out. Hang on. 3.9%. Very low.
It's a nice differential.
Nice differential. Got Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds coming up in the next. Honestly, so Bournemouth's next 6 fixtures: Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, Fulham, Palace, Forest.
Right. So that's why I said both teams have great runs coming up. So if Semenyo didn't return, Tavernier didn't return, Senesi is not highly owned, but you're not going to move any of these players out, given what we saw this weekend. It was just a tough game to watch, but if you didn't watch it, it's not going to affect what your moves are for this week.
Spurs had some exciting signings, but we'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save that. All right, moving on. Next game, Wolves 2, Everton 3. Another exciting one. Jack Grealish, another assist, 7th minute to Beto. Kieran Drewsbury Hall, who's kind of highly owned given his price and starting ability at Everton, got a yellow card in the 16th minute, followed by a He-Chi Huang goal in the 21st to tie it up.
What's his name?
He-Chi Huang, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Anyway, moving on. Everton takes the lead back in the 33rd minute with an assist by KDH. So makes up for that yellow card and returns to his owners that have been loyal to him. Then scores his own goal in the 55th minute, assisted by none other than Jack Grealish. That's 2 weeks in a row. Jack has 2 assists, back to his best. The rest of the game, apart from a 79th minute goal that was meaningless from Wolves, really nothing to note. Injuries or other interesting subs. Everton, back-to-back wings, back-to-back double assists by Jack, who we mentioned as a differential last week, given what he'd done. He's a great run coming up. His price has already increased to 6.7. I honestly, I don't think it's too late to bring him in because next week, not next week because of the break. Next week he is Villa and then Wolves. So
Wolves again?
Apologies. Wolves is the EFL Cup. That's right. Wolves. This is what we said last week. Wolves, Villa, Liverpool, which is a tough game, but then West Ham.
Yeah, but it's are they still calling it a Merseyside derby? I mean, they're not. I mean, with Everton moving, geographically they moved. I mean, technically,
I think it's still.
I think it still is.
I don't think you take the name away.
I don't think so either. Yeah. So what do you want to focus on here? Like, obviously, well, as I say that, I mean, Wolves are bad. No points, a -6 differential. I mean, is it going to just be one of those things where, like, you just target whoever's playing Wolves? Are we at that point yet?
I think we are. It's almost not worth spending time in an FPL sense talking about them because you're not going to bring anybody in.
So
Trent Larson was the only one that people thought.
that's where I was going, right? Like,
people thought could be good, but he's returned once. What do you have? Did he have a goal or did he have an assist last week?
I believe he had. I don't remember, but he was injured this week. So yeah, you hate to see that. And he had a good midweek
he had 2 goals
game last week.
He had 2 goals last week, but that was against West Ham. So
yeah,
chasing our tail here with these teams that we don't love. I don't think Wolves are worth discussing at the current moment. On the other hand, I think Jack is worth a discussion. You want to correct me? You disagree?
Well, no. Well, I'm just again right.
No,
or is it just like? Let me say it differently. Am I buying Everton stock, or am I or am I selling Wolves stock here? Right? Like, we're not a finance pod, but yes, like Grealish is good enough to play at City. He's good enough to play with the best of them. He's gonna impact the game if Everton are going to succeed this season. Grealish is gonna impact the game.
Yes.
I think Grealish is at 6.7. I agree with you. I don't think he's overpriced yet. I think he's probably still underpriced. I imagine his price will continue to rise at this rate. Knowing Grealish, he will probably play, because he and I are good buds. Knowing him, he will probably play until his price rises to about 6.9, and then he'll find a way to stall right there. That feels like kind of his sweet spot, just knowing him. But I don't know otherwise, though. Like Everton defense, we talked a lot about like Pickford. We talked a lot about Tarkowski as assets. Their defense hasn't been really great thus far, but Tarkowski has been picking up those defensive contribution points. What do you think about that?
Yeah, for me, I don't think it's worth it.
Not at 5.5, right? 'Cause he's 5.5, I believe. Yeah.
I think he's too much. Personally, I think Grealish, if Everton scores, and even bad teams score, I mean, Wolves score 2 here. They scored 2 last week. Bad teams score. If Everton scores, I think Grealish will be involved. That's why I think he's worth bringing in. I don't think maybe Dewsbury Hall if you need somebody cheap. You can't get it up to Jack. But I think apart from that, agree. Don't fall into the fixer trap. They played Wolves last week. They beat up on Brighton. I wouldn't
Yeah.
move in anybody defensively.
Dewsbury Hall, I believe, is priced at 5.5. I will say, I think Dewsbury Hall, I wasn't really familiar. For some reason, I thought he sat a little bit deeper. I didn't know he was really I didn't know he was a pure attacking midfielder. I thought he was a little bit deeper. But I mean, did you happen to see his goal?
I did not see his, no.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was an absolute just screamer, like Grealish kind of put this perfectly weighted ball. Wolves turned the ball over, in their third. Grealish got the ball, kind of dropped it off to Dewsbury, and he just kind of ripped one, top chub, unsavable kind of, ball like that. So kind of one of those shots that you take when you're up 2-0 or 2-1, and you're trying to just put the ball in the back of the net.
Yep.
But nonetheless, I mean, a goal is a goal. That being said, I don't know if I would look to him for goal contributions massively, though, going forward. If you look at his expected goal, 0.06, that basically means he scored his goal, but he really should not have had a goal. So
Yeah.
I think to your point, if there's anyone you're going to target, it's probably Grealish. The only other asset would be, and I'm going to butcher this, Iliman Ndiaye on the right wing. So he, I believe, is priced at 6 mil. I think he has had a price rise. Let me double check while we're chatting here. Sorry, he's actually at 6.5. So he has not had a price rise yet. We'll have to take a look and see if he's on track to do so. But did have a goal. So I think on the season now, he's got a couple of goals. He's someone that seemingly would have been on penalties. I don't know if we've seen a penalty yet for Everton. Do we know if Grealish is going to be on penalties?
In the app, he's not listed on. I don't know if
Okay.
they've updated that since he's joined.
Yeah. So it seems like Grealish is really trying to be that facilitator, that distributor, that creator. We haven't really seen the goals yet. We've seen lots of assists.
Yeah. And that's what I almost think. Maybe it's like he's going back to when he was at Villa and he was like everything, and then he gets this energy around him and he starts taking free kicks, he starts taking corners, and he gets those extra chances because he's got a little bit of magic and he can just run with it.
He's got the magic in him. Don't copyright that. But no, seriously, I kind of am thinking about bringing Grealish in, but it's so early right now. We'll talk.
It's early.
We'll talk about it. Anything else from this game?
No. And really,
This
the
next one
next
should
one
be easy.
Next one's going to be quick, so it's Leeds Newcastle 0-0 full time. Really nothing here that happened. Nick Pope was man of the match, but he also had a yellow card in the 36th minute. I'd say maybe the lineups are the more interesting part of it. So I know when we spoke last week, I had flagged Alanga as a possible differential. He didn't even start. Harvey Barnes didn't even start.
Yeah, odd lineup. Odd
Yeah,
lineup. Osula on Newcastle got sold. He's not even there anymore.
he got sold today.
Yeah, yeah, I believe he is gone.
Interesting. So they lined up with a back five, and then a midfield three of Tenali, Gimaresh, and the new signing Jacob Ramsey from Villa, and then Jacob Murphy and Usula up top, playing in a two. Clearly, this lineup did not work
Actually,
for them.
it fell through. He was supposed to go to Frankfurt. Fell through.
Okay, so maybe he had that on his mind, and I don't know, but really nothing to note. It did not work. Alanga and Harvey Barnes came on in the 60th minute. Barnes actually only came on in the 69th because of an injury to Sven Botman. Alanga came on in the 2nd. So, I don't know. Dominic Calvert-Lewin did not start again. He came on in the 70th, so he's probably still getting back up to speed. The American Brendan Aronson didn't start. I don't know, just a lot of nothing here.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, to be honest, I actually would kind of disagree with you. I think there's a lot of players in these squads that are on people's radars. I look at Goodmanson, a 4 mil defender who has been pretty attacking for Leeds. I think he's one of those players that fits in a lot of people's squad just at 4 mil. He's
He
had
came
2
off
clean
injured,
sheets
though.
well, do we know what the injury is?
Leg injury.
Oh, they're gonna have to amputate, you think?
It's listed as doubtful, so I'm assuming, yeah, it's doubtful the leg is gonna make
Okay.
it.
Well, yeah, and that's a tough one because if he's in your squad at 4 mil, your probably only move is to, if you don't have him already, to Esteve
Or Joe
at 4
Roden.
mil. Is Joe Roden 4 mil?
He is. He got another clean sheet for me.
Wow. Okay.
He was
Then
my
that might
first sub
be
off the bench for Dorgu, so I was very happy with
a
that.
very clean swap then. Not as attacking, I don't think, as Goodmanson. Goodmanson was getting up there. He actually had a shot. I think almost it was off of I think Daniel James was running alongside him. Daniel James might be, other than Van de Ven, Daniel James might be one of the fastest guys in the Prem. But Goodmanson was up there. He's gonna get up there. So that could be a player.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough with
Gonna
one
be
leg.
tough. Gonna be tough with one leg. And then the other player, so Livramento, right? So I mentioned him last week. Yeah, I was contemplating moving Livramento in for Ola Aina. Hindsight, I definitely should have because Livramento got the clean sheet, but so did Aina up until, whatever, the 70th minute, and then West Ham went on to score 3. So I don't want to spoil that one. But yeah, Newcastle right now, they're going to have Vissa come in. Did they have any other players? I mean, Alanga, I feel like didn't play in this one just because his feelings were hurt, right? Like he just lost his Swedish teammate, moved out.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he didn't start. Why did
It's a great
he's their best
question.
attacker at the moment. Why would you not start him against a newly promoted team?
Great question. I don't know. We'll have to call Eddie, see what he
Yeah.
thinks.
Eddie, drop us a line. Come on.
Hey, Eddie, how can you do that to us? All right, moving on to
All right. So the early game on Sunday. So this is one I admittedly I watched the first half of, and I thought won't be a problem. How the tables turn. So City 1, Brighton 2, full time. Erling Haaland scores a 34th minute goal assisted by Omar Marmoush. Really could have had 1, maybe 2 more early chances that he one he just was really a dribbler to the keeper, and one he missed off target, I think. But really, they should have put some more goals away in the first half. They did not. Brighton with a bunch of subs in the 60th minute. On comes James Milner, the timeless wonder.
Jimbo.
Bags a 67th minute penalty, unfazed. What a career he's had. He's 39 years old. Can you believe that? I'm going to be
You see,
39 in 2 weeks.
He went.
Yeah. 39 years old. He's still doing it. Unbelievable. I think Donnarumma was already being breaded and buttered. I think once that goal went in, he
They
officially
do
signed.
olive oil.
Well, what are you gonna do?
Italians do olive oil. Come
Yeah.
on.
Um, the Milner tied it up in the 67th minute. Um, followed by a late goal, 89th minute. Brajan Gruda, assisted by Kuru Matoma, who Matoma's been pretty quiet this year. I think he's got a price drop, maybe 2. That gets the assist, returns late.
This
Brighton
was a
win.
nice goal. This was a nice goal. The composure, just to kind of get around the keeper and just kind of put it in. Yeah, I mean, the stats tell an interesting story here. The stats technically, like expected goals, did favor Brighton. I mean, the stats, yeah, 2.3 expected goals for Brighton, 1.82 for City. So in line with the actual score line. City had more possession, but that's kind of their game, right? Like that's what they want to play.
But when you get a penalty, I think that kind of throws off the expected goals, right? Because that's like you're expected a whole goal as opposed to
Maybe,
like City's 1.82 is comprised of, every chance they had,
I suppose. I
but
suppose that's fair.
they got to bury it.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, they're expect that. Okay, sure. So I can take a look at their non-penalty expected goal. Lions was 1.51. City obviously still that 182. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that penalty kind of gave them an extra, not a math bot here, but about a point 0.8 goal. So not a whole goal, but 80% of a goal. Uh, but yeah, that's a good catch there, Jimbo. You've been brushing
You know
up on
me.
some of this stuff.
I'm a numbers guy.
You're a numbers guy. Um, Yeah, I mean the big question, and I think I called this one out in our preview episode as one of the games I was most excited for, most interested in. Like which city are we gonna get? Um, this one, it's really hard to tell. Like this was almost the tale of two halves. City in the first half kind of dominated,
It looked
right?
great.
Like
It looked so good.
Brighton, whether because City was enforcing them, kind of not allowing Brighton to get into their system, but City really kind of just had their way with them. The second half was a totally different story. Brighton kind of flipped the script, and it was Brighton who really just manhandled City in the second half. So, that's why they play two halves in soccer, right? It's I don't think we got any questions answered.
No, not at
Frankly, I
all.
think we have more questions. The only question that I do think we have answered, Holland is still going to get his goals. I did captain Holland this week. At least I got that right. He was really kind of my only saving grace, and we'll talk about our teams a little bit after we get through the rest of the fixtures. Other than Holland right now, I don't think you can touch a City defender. That being said, it was nice to see Aitnori back. I think there was some injury scares, like he'd be out at least for a few weeks, and for him to be back 6 days later, it was just like, okay, what was that all about? I don't think Mateus Nunez looked good on right back. Kuzanov came off with an injury. Ruben Diaz came on. I still don't know why he doesn't just start. Rodri, I think this is the first game that like City have lost that he started in like some outrageously large number of games.
Yeah.
Like when Rodri starts, they usually win. So, and shout out to Oscar Bob, still getting starts. I don't know how. I don't know why.
Yeah.
The window is shut now, so maybe like if there was any conspiracy, they were just trying to feature him. We'll see if that lineup kind of solidifies now that the window's closed. But yeah, I don't know what to make of City.
But they've looked so bad over the last 2 weeks. And it's like, I don't know how they could. We're not getting any indication of where the lineup's going to go.
It's not even that they've looked bad; it's that they've lacked discipline. And a team like City lacking discipline, where does it go to? It goes to the manager. Like Pep, it'd be one thing if he was up and coming, right? But like this is a guy who players should come in and just frankly, like he has earned that respect. He's not a manager that you have to come in
Well,
and like work for it.
I think it's more of I say it's like captain. Bernardo Silva is the captain.
Well,
He's no Vincent
I
Company.
think,
He's no KDB,
my God,
right?
KDB.
Like those are the kind of guys that I think are missing in the squad.
So you think it's a personnel issue? You think there's a lot of turnover?
I don't know. I think there's inconsistency, and like in previous years, we knew who his favorites were, right? He loved Foden, even if Foden wasn't getting the start every week. We knew that was his guy. Like I don't even know who he loves because he just kind of says he loves everybody.
Holland, Rodri.
Yeah, but the midfielders are the ones that are not
You know,
contributing as we've seen in the past
I I
out of
think
depth of midfield.
honestly, and like let's look at their bench right now, right? And I also want to say like we're not talking about Brighton. We probably should be, right? Like they've had they did well, right? They deserve it, but the bigger implication here for FPL. So let's look at City's bench, right? Because these are a lot of big names here. Ederson has been linked to Galatasaray. He seems to be on the way out. I mean, did he end up moving? I don't think he did.
I don't know. I saw Gundogan was about to move too. I don't know if he actually went
Gundo,
through.
I believe, did move. Um, Akanji, I believe, did move to Inter. I want to say Nico Gonzalez also moved out as well, but I'm not positive. So just like interestingly, and I mean, Nico Gonzalez is such a common name. It could have been that I saw a Gonzalez and I saw Nico and whatever.
What do you mean?
Like it's just a common name, Nico Gonzalez. But the point being, like, half of their bench isn't even on the team anymore after this. After
I think that's
so
a different Nico Gonzalez joining
is it
Atletico from
okay? But his
from
name was
eBay.
Nico Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay, see, to be fair, they have this same exact name. That's tough. It's hard to keep up. Shout out to Fabrizio, man. He somehow manages. His
What
Here
a
We
week
Go.
he's at.
I bet he's having a nice Heineken Zero right now. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know. City are still question mark on the defensive side of things, but we'll have to see how things play out.
Yeah. All right, next game, another unexpected one. So Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 3. Shaking off the dog shit label we've given them all year. So the new signing out of Forest, James McAtee, comes on in the 58th minute, and new West Ham signing Callum Wilson replaces Nicholas Fulkrug in the 64th minute. How will that impact the game? Well, Jared Bowen comes in 84th minute. So this is one, we weren't expecting West Ham to do anything, as we've seen so far. 84th minute, a Jared Bowen goal, finally, followed by an 88th minute Lucas Paqueta penalty. And then at the 90th, Callum Wilson, new signing, super sub, gets another goal assisted by Doof. So to your point earlier, Forrest had the clean sheet in the books as of the 60th minute, and then threw 3 goals away in the last 7. So tough way to end. I don't know whose team this tells us more about. Did we underestimate West Ham? Personally, I don't think so. Or were we kind of high on Forest given their signings and where they ended last year? But for anybody who brought in Hudson-Odoi or Gibbs White, or even Chris Wood. I mean, I know we were saying Chris Wood is kind of an off-chance captain pick this week, given how poorly West Ham's been playing. But anybody who brought those 3 in are going to be pretty disappointed in the result and how they threw it away so late.
Ironically enough, West Ham had more goals, obviously, in this game. Forest did have more shots in the second half. More shots total, 10 versus 9. More
Yeah,
shots inside the box,
looks like
8
you're
versus
stretching
7.
for some stats now.
No, I've read, for some reason I saw on, and then I read it wrong. But the point being, right, like Forest had some opportunities, but just really couldn't convert. So is this just, Forest having a stinker and West Ham being able to convert? Maybe. I don't know if I'm buying West Ham just yet, but it is nice to see some of those West Ham assets. Paqueta, Bowen. I don't think Callum Wilson is going to supplant Fulkrug just yet, but it's
He
possible.
might. I mean,
He might. He
he's
might.
done nothing.
Or is he super sub? Comes in? I don't know.
True. But yeah,
Ugh.
I would not move in on either team given that result. You agree?
Not at this point. I mean, I've still got Chris Wood, I've still got Ola Aina, and I've still got Matt Sells in my squad. I don't know if I'm gonna move off any of them just yet. I'm definitely not gonna make any moves too quickly with the international break. See how things settle. Make sure everyone comes out clean.
They come back and face Arsenal, but then they have Burnley. So
Yeah.
if anything, you hold through the Burnley game and see how it goes. All right, the big touted fixture of the weekend: Liverpool 1, Arsenal 0. An unexpected goal contributor, Dominic Szoboszlai, with a direct free kick in the 83rd minute. It was a beauty. As an anti-Arsenal player, anti-Arsenal fan, it was great to see that one go in.
Yeah.
Apart from that, so Saliba got hurt in the 5th minute. He got subbed out. Gyökeres got a yellow card in the 66th. We did see Eze come on, as well as Odegaard. So Odegaard, back injury maybe faster than we expected. Saka did not feature. And Florian Wirtz also came off in the 89th minute with an injury. So we'll have to see how long that keeps him out. But a couple new injuries, couple injuries that got off the radar. So I don't know. Not an unexpected result given how good Liverpool are. I think maybe the biggest, the downer for Liverpool is probably Wirtz coming off injured, as well as Konate, although Konate, they were already kind of trying to sell maybe, or loan out for the year. But Wirtz coming off is tough, although knowing what we know now, I think they're not going to be short of attacking talents.
Yeah. My take on this game, I understand that, like, they can't have all of the great fixtures or, the best teams play later in the season. But this is a game that, to be in the 3rd week of the season, I don't know. It almost feels, just as like a fan of the game, it's too soon. And then couple that with the fact that, you want to see both teams firing on all cylinders. Arsenal starting this game without Odegaard, without Saka, Eze not necessarily having time to be integrated into the team just yet, Saliba going down with the injury. I'm not in any way, shape, or form making an excuse for Arsenal, because Liverpool, they have their injuries as well. Every team has their injuries, but I don't know how much you can really take away from this one other than Liverpool was the better team on this day, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out.
They won a tough game. At the end of the year, is this going to be the deciding factor? Who knows? But nobody's going to remember that Arsenal lost their starting center back in the 5th minute.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this was a pretty even game. The underlying metrics would support that as well. Maybe a little bit more possession for Liverpool, but like passing the ball around in the box or outside of the box, like, who cares? That's, cool. Somebody has to pass the ball around. But all in all, I'm excited for the rematch whenever it is.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about Isak anymore, though. We're going to hold it because we'd be here all night.
Yeah. So Wirtz is no longer flagged, at least in FOTMOB, so that's something to note, that maybe it wasn't super serious, but it was in the 89th minute, so no point in risking it.
He'll be a player, honestly, and again, I don't want to talk about Isak, but if you think about managers making moves, so if you don't have Isak in right now, or if you're not bringing him in before he technically becomes a Liverpool player, and say you have Salah today, maybe you've got Gakpo or you have Ekatike, I could see managers looking to maybe move off of Wirtz just because it doesn't seem like he's really settled in just yet, money aside. But that could result in Wirtz maybe having another price drop. I think he went from 7.5 to 7.4. I don't think he's moved from 7.4 to 7.3 just yet, but just something to keep an eye on, right? Because you are limited to those 3
He's
spots.
8.5.
Or sorry, 8.5, sorry. So just something to keep an eye on, because yes, there are no games going on, but prices can still change because managers can still bring players in or out. So just to keep that in mind.
And I did drop him, but I think given the news, I would be more likely to, if I had Gakpo, move Gakpo out than Wirtz. But time will tell.
Time will tell.
We'll need to see that first lineup once they have everybody. Last game of the match week, Villa 0, Palace 3. I think we said Villa continued their underperforming streak here. We had a 21st minute Jean-Philippe Mateta penalty, followed by a yellow card. That was kind of all to note in the first half. Second half of the Mark Gahey goal that we mentioned, a gorgeous one outside the box, 68th minute. And then a 78th minute Ismail Yassar, assisted by Pepelmus LaCroix to seal the 3-0 win. Ismail Yassar also got a yellow card at the end of the game. And your nephew's favorite player there, Justin Devaney, did not get the start today. He came on in the 85th minute. So unfortunate for those managers who are still back in Devaney. But kind of a real comprehensive win here by Palace. They've been tough all year. I don't think, with Gahey staying, I don't think there's a reason to suspect that won't be the case. I know they lost Eze, but they still have some attractive options up top. I don't know, FPL-wise, how attractive they were apart from Mateta, but they're a tough squad.
8th place Palace with a +3 differential right now. 5 points from their first 3 matches. Next game against Sunderland. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have called that
Yeah.
going into the season. Palace have looked good. Got those boys playing. It shouldn't really be surprising. He had them playing well last season. I think I actually had him for my assistant managership last season. I believe I hauled. It shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone. But that being said, I think you nailed it, right? Other than Mateta, Sar came off injured. There was a little bit. I think he scored the goal, and some folks thought he faked the injury because then he ran for the celebration. But I think he's actually injured, right?
He didn't get subbed off injured.
Interesting. Okay. So we'll have to see, because that was, nope. Okay. He is flagged. That was confusing. Yeah. Because he definitely, he got a celebration in, though. Good for him. But yeah, Marque could be someone you bring in. He doesn't strike me as a player who, he didn't get the move that necessarily he wanted, but I think he will still wear the Palace badge very proudly, and I think he'll represent it, and he'll still wear that captain armband.
And Henderson's no
Regardless of all
slouch
of it.
behind him.
No, he's not. He's not. So, yeah, Palace have looked good. I might look to maybe bring him in. We'll have
Yeah.
to see.
Honestly, I'm kind of upset I don't have Munoz. Their next 2 Premier League games are Sunderland and Crystal Palace. Sunderland and West Ham.
I think we got through all the fixtures.
Yeah. So just a quick recap, team of the week. So in goal, we have Becker with 8 points off that clean sheet. Gahey, 15 points, leader out of everybody with his goal. Senesi with 14 points. He had the assist. Chaloba, Chelsea with 13 points. LaCroix with the assist and a clean sheet also had 11 points. Soboslai in the midfield, 13 points following his goal and bonus points there. Dewsbury Hall with his goal, assist, but he had the yellow card. Enzo at Chelsea, an assist and a goal, 12 points. Bonus points got stolen from him. Robert E. Lee at Sunderland, 11 points following his goal. Jack Grealish, 10 points. Grealish. I feel like I mess that up every time. Jack Grealish, 10 points, 2 assists at Everton. And then up top, João Pedro, 9 points. Not a bust. 1 goal, 3 bonus points.
So if you had this team, good for you. You're incredible. Jim, you look so clean. Have you been cleaning something in the background there? Use a sponge?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. This episode is actually brought today by the Today Sponge. Reliable, discreet, and thanks to Elaine Bennis, highly coveted. Supplies may be limited, but when you find one, it's not just buying contraception, you're buying a peace of mind. Because nothing says confidence like standing in the pharmacy line and declaring, yes, I'll take all of them. And once you got your stash, every date becomes a referendum. Is he sponge-worthy? Is he not sponge-worthy? Suddenly, you're not just choosing your partner, you're curating a collection. The museum curator of intimacy. So make your choices count. Visit spongeworthy.com and use code TINKER, TANKER, for 15% off your first pack. That's spongeworthy.com, code TINKER, TINKER, the Today Sponge, because not everybody is sponge-worthy. Back to the pod.
All right, so real quick, because I think you mentioned it already. Let's just talk through our points for the week. So no surprises here. I had another awful week. I scored 36 points. Like I said, I was really banking on those clean sheets from Sells and Ina in the back. So Sells gave me 2 points. Van de Ven blanked, obviously, only gave me 1 point with that yellow card. Reinildo only gave me 1 point for Sunderland, and Aina has only given me 1 point as well with that implosion late against West Ham. So defense has not been my friend thus far.
5 points. That's tough.
It's tough, really tough. Nothing on my bench even to second guess it. Midfield also blanked. Salah with 3 points, Semenyo with only 2, Reindeers with 2, and Kudus with 2 as well. So deuces were wild. Really, my only source of points was my Holland captaincy. So he did that 18 points on my captaincy. Half my points came from one player. Jesus Christ. Ekatike gave me 2, and so did Wood. So, I mean, if I look at this squad on paper, I hate it. But, I'm stuck with it now.
Did you start Dorgu?
I did start Dorgu, so Reinildo did come in. I had Josh King buried because, again, I had no reason to start him.
Yeah.
But I might reconsider. So, yeah, I lost to Lord Tinkerton. But before we get to his team, let's why don't we jump to yours?
Yeah, so I had 57 weeks of my highest so far. I had Joe Roden come off the bench for Dorgu for 7 points there, and then Van de Ven and Renildo, like you, 1 point each. Midfield of Salah, Tavernier, Johnson, and Kudus did not deliver. Salah and Tavernier got the clean sheet point, though. Johnson coming off in the 55th or 56th minute kind of hurts, but like I said, I think knowing what their schedule coming up is, I'm still banking on holding him and Kudus moving forward. And then Mbuemo with 10 points, I brought him in off my wild card, and he delivered. Although unfortunately, so did Fernandez, who I dropped him for. So I didn't really get any differential there. And up top, I did bring in João Pedro, who scored the 9 points, and I also had Captain Holland with 18. So kind of, I don't know. I almost feel, and maybe you do too, that I'm lucky that Holland got the 3 bonus points, given
Yeah.
he missed the other chances and Brighton put in 2 goals. So take
Yeah.
it like
FPL gods. Thank you. Let's take a look at our AI opponent here. So Lord Tinkerton, 56 points. He did start Palmer, but obviously Palmer was injured. I also think he started Strand Larson, who also didn't. So he had a couple of subs come in. Sanchez in the back with 6 points, Pedro Porro with 4, Gudmundsson with 9, Tarkowski with 3, Chris Richards with 8 points, Aguado with 1, Bruno Fernand with 10, Mohamed Kudus with 2, Mo Salah with 6, so he gave Salah the armband, Semenyo with 2, and Mateta with 5. Overall, 56 points. You edged him out by 1 point, or her. I don't know. It doesn't matter. He's kicking my ass right now. I mean, good for you. Hopefully, we'll try again next week. I don't know. There's not much more I can say. He is
his team. The team does not look good. It stinks that we're losing to him. But
yeah, and shout out to our current league leader, Paul Gonzalez, maximum Steve, who scored 63 points this week. He now sits atop the table at 167 points overall. Close second, Maguero, Austin Maguero, the commish. Had a 47-point week with 158 points. So right behind him there, just 9 points off the pace. So yeah, I mean, I'm liking what we're seeing overall. And this is what I was saying. So I'm not in last place, but I may as well be. So from where I sit to Paul, who's in first, it's a 42-point difference. So, over the course of game weeks, that might be a couple of captain picks that hit versus a couple blanks. So I'm not burying the season just yet, but if we continue on this trend, it's going to get real late, real early.
And to put it in context, you would be in last place if we didn't have somebody join the league.
You nailed it.
Week.
You nailed it. But it's not too late to join. All right. So I know this has been a long one. So thanks for those folks who've been hanging out with us here. If you've made it this far, so there are no games coming up this week. We have the international break, so there are no games. But like I mentioned, that doesn't mean that players still can't be transferred in or out. Normally, and Jim, I don't want to speak for you, but I don't like to bring players in or move them out just yet. I think it's too early. I would like to personally try to wait until I have more information. It's possible players get injured. It's possible, some players that are injured right now might actually return from their injuries and become fit. So you might want to bring them in. So lots can happen right now on international break. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, unless it's somebody I know is going to be out for an extended period of time, I save it until we're closer to the game week and we get to hear the managers do their press conference.
Yeah. Yeah. So no real point right now in looking ahead at any of the big fixtures. I mean, if you're really bored and you want to do that, feel free. Obviously, we can't stop you. And honestly, don't do anything I say because I suck this season. But that being said, we do plan on putting some content out there during the break. And we want to do a transfer window roundup episode. So keep an eye out for that. We'll plug our mini league code. It's not too late to join. If you do well, you'll get a shout out. If you do bad, you'll get a shout out. But I shouted myself out this week because I'm doing the worst. So it's still all about me anyway.
How long till our newest member surpasses you?
Well,
Probably 2 weeks.
I don't know enough about him. So if you want to call him out, that's fine. Oh, you think? Oh, hey, anyway. But that being said, if you hung out with us this whole time, it's been a lot of fun. Please subscribe, follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Drop us a comment. And again, join our mini league. I'll drop the code in the description. And until then, happy tinkering.
Draft dreams rise like morning sun, chasing points, the game's begun. Big decisions week by week, fantasy glory's what we seek. Pick your squad, the clock won't wait. Captain choice will seal your fate. Two enthusiasts breaking it down. Fantasy kings, we're taking the crown.